Ah, so much to talk about. I think it's good news, but you get to be the judge of that. But I have a unusual, fascinating angle today, and today, today we're going brain free. Today we're going to get our T-shirts out that say "brain free" stamped on them, and we're just going to have a remarkable brain free day. Well, what do you mean, Greg? Can you elaborate a little bit? And I think perhaps to elucidate this idea, we might very briefly refer to ancient yogic description of the various levels of body that we live in. We're all familiar with models such as this, but the yogis had a good one, and they say the most base level is the physical body, and we're all there. There's that's the one we have in common. There's no doubt about that. The materialist, the idealist, the spiritualist, we all agree that we have this physical flesh, blood, and bones. And uh, then everybody could live at that level. Somebody that only lives at that level is driven by almost slavish instincts and desires and needs that have to be met. I think we're quite familiar with those. But it's struggling and suffer to live solely on that level when there's higher levels, and the level above that is feeling or emotional body, energy body, and we know what it's like. We've talked about it many weeks. Just, if we live only on feelings and their various movements, swells and tides, we will suffer, and there's a better way to live. And then there's the level of thought, the much more subtle layer of thought and thinking. And yet we know the torture of thinking all day long, the the grinding noise of the mind, and what a torturous place that can be when same thoughts keep cycling around. The word resentment, if you break it down, is to send something over. Resent, 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 resentment, resentment. It just keeps same thought, the same noise, the same anguish, the same uh, cacophony going on inside of our head. So that is the brain grinding away as a organ out of control. So now we're going to rise up to much more sublime layer and of our body, and it's Vinyamaya Kosha in yoga, and it means the highest thoughts, the highest principles, the highest truths, the highest prayers, the highest that's available for us in the realm of thought or form or abstraction. And for that reason, we don't have to have a brain anymore. No more brain. Now, I'm being a little facetious, but I did text all of you that are watching me live on Zoom. For those thousands and billions of you watching this recorded on YouTube, take a moment now, turn your brain off, and like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. But I digress. But I Zoomed my friends a little printout. Um, I talked about it a little bit on my retreat last week, but they've discovered the most powerful chemicals for changing, altering, exploding, and expanding consciousness, psychedelics. They used to think up until very recently it caused our brain to be excited. Well, I'm using more of my brain, but now they've discovered, extraordinarily paradoxically, and much to the surprise and chagrin of neuroanatomists, that psychedelics, for all that they do, and this is not a recommendation to use psychedelics unless you feel inspired to do so by something. But if you psychedelics don't excite your brain, they basically turn it off. And so there is so much joy and bliss. And one of the greatest discoveries that humanity will make in general over the next few generations will realize that our brains are adjuncts to consciousness. They don't create it. In other words, we we don't consciousness doesn't need your brain to God doesn't need your brain. God gave us a brain to use for good purpose. But if we're just thinking all day long, driving ourselves insane with the same limiting thoughts, then brain thinking is really torture. And so this is why those who have a near-death experience, whose brains shut off, they go into levels of joy. We become who we really are. this mortal experience vanishes in the truth of who we are. So get to the point. The point today is have a brain-free day. If you find yourself grinding on something, just shut your brain off. Remember, Greg says, stop thinking. Now, brains are wonderful tools. Am I at odds with brains? No. They can do wonderful abstractions. They can say great prayers. They can formulate brilliant ideals. They can create wonderful innovations. But that's not base thinking. Remember, we're going from the body to feelings. We're rising above monomyakosha, grinding daily, anguishing thought. Now we're up to vinyamyakosha, creativity, bliss, joy, principle, law. So have a beautiful brain-free day. Realize at any moment that we can all of us remember to stop thinking, go brain-free, and get into the realm of the highest possible thought, principle, and then, of course, tomorrow we'll talk about which body that leads us to. Have a beautiful brain-free day. Oh, check out the chat.